The Allied victory in World War II left a lot of problems unresolved that the United States needed to deal with. Accused after World War I of having pulled back from any international responsibilities, the United States in the years following World War II, if anything, embraced international responsibility and commitment. They embraced it in a variety of ways. Some of them economic, others military, but all of them aimed at ensuring that the victory of the democratic forces in the war would continue into the peace. One of the first realities that America had to face was that, though it had been part of an Allied alliance during the war, it was the superpower of that former group. The United States' relationship with Great Britain was now one of superpower to former superpower. And when the British informed the Americans in 1947 that their support of the Greek monarchy in its war with a communist group of revolutionaries was failing, the Americans were faced with a confrontation. Do they get involved in a foreign revolution? The decision, come to be known as the Truman Doctrine, is that the Americans need to do this. Developed by Secretary of State Dean Acheson, the Truman Doctrine stated that the United States would assist those nations that were confronted by illegitimate or outside forces. In essence, this meant that the United States was going to help those countries that were threatened by communist revolutions. They would help them with money, and if necessary, they would help them with military power. Another way to confront communism in the post-war world, though, was to encourage a financially stable Europe and really the rest of the world. The devastation that the World War II had wrought continued into the post-war era, and the nations that had most directly felt the costs of war were having a difficult time rebuilding. To address this need, the United States developed the Marshall Plan. Marshall Plan aid was going to be relief monies that were provided to nations who had suffered and were in the process of rebuilding. What would eventually amount to billions of dollars of direct aid and credits would serve a dual function. Number one, it would help European countries reestablish their industrial and agricultural economies. But also, it would accomplish this by having them purchase goods from American industrial producers. Not just money, but credits with American companies were part of Marshall Plan aid. So while Europe helped itself, it also helped to convert America's post-war economy. Marshall Plan aid was especially effective in helping America's friends and not helping its enemies because the Soviet Union refused to put itself under the microscope of American legitimacy. Rather than operate through the United Nations, the U.S. chose to unilaterally offer Marshall Plan aid in response to the Soviets using a lot of UN money. Marshall Plan aid came with a small litmus test. Was your government legitimate by American definitions? The Soviets, for themselves and for their client states in Eastern Europe, chose to not even put themselves to that scrutiny. And so Marshall Plan aid was instrumental in redeveloping Western Europe's economy, building its infrastructure, and helping to convert the American economy, at the same time that it denied some of those very same resources to the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc states that had fallen under a communist sway.